I've got a bone to pick because
Okay.
I was talking to this cute girl at the optometrist this week when I went to go get my glasses checked and everything and to figure everything out for because my glasses are cracking, right? And this is how we're gonna start this today. We had this great moment of how we talked about and joked about how Oakleys are some of the most disgusting, hideous glasses we have ever seen in our lives, and every fucking Chad with a giant white truck lifted off the floor wears them, and it's fucking embarrassing to see them in public.
Okay, they're not pit vipers. Okay, though that's pit viper people. Shut the hell up. I love Oakleys. Y'all got a problem with Oakleys? You can catch my fade, as the kids say.
How the fuck do you like Oakleys? Like how?
Because
they're so bad looking.
They look fucking sick.
No, they
pitch
don't.
black, just terrible. Like I look like an asshole. I love that. It's great.
No,
yes.
Nothing. You look like the wrong kind of asshole, not like the badass biker in the bar asshole that like sits there, drinks his whiskey, and if you fuck with him, he fucks you up. No, you look like the dude at fucking like Walmart or fucking Ralph's that sits there and like complains about the Girl Scouts out front selling cookies when they didn't have a permit to sell their shit.
Shut the fuck up. You guys are just hating on Oakleys. I've worn Oakleys since I was in high school. Piss off.
No, Oakleys are so terrible.
No, they're not. They're banging.
So nasty. If you want thick rimmed stuff, just get some fucking Ray-Bans.
No, I'm not paying fucking $300 for some sunglasses. What are you, nuts? I paid $80 for these.
Actually, you know what? I'll take that back. My sunglasses were about, what were they? It was $253 for the frames, and then $100 something for the lenses. Yeah, it's probably about.
There's another reason why I stick to this, and I order them on eBay instead of the official website because they're cheaper. $80 versus $150.
Chinese Oakleys.
No, they're actually official. But I check the SKUs. But the issue is I'm a clumsy motherfucker, so I can't have expensive eyewear. Unless it's like prescription if I need it in the future. But still, I'm accident prone as a motherfucker, so I can't have that shit. No.
Oh man, welcome one and all to the For the Geeks podcast.
Fucking cold intro right there for you guys.
For what week is it? Fuck.
It is. This is
we're in the first week of April, something like that.
Yeah,
not the first weekend, but the first week.
Yeah, episode 32.
Today the 6th.
Yeah,
episode
today's
32.
The 5th.
Today's the 5th? Oh, shit.
Tomorrow, yeah, it's the 5th.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Why does nobody keep up with the dates? Come on.
Because I'm not at work. I don't care.
You're at work.
Anything I can forget about work, I do.
It's delicious.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Miranda. Alongside me here, the sniffle from the miffle, Chris Seger.
That isn't, yep, what's up? That doesn't make sense, but okay.
And boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
For those
of you who follow us on social medias, you may have noticed that we did an unofficial, official, singular person live reaction of the Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2, and that is one of the big things we're going to be talking about.
The main
today.
thing, yep.
Some of the other things we're going to be talking about today is some thoughts on the Daredevil series, some new video game stuff, some news from CinemaCon, a lot of movie stuff in here, the return of Game Informer, and much, much more.
Yes.
But before we get started, how's everyone doing? How you been? How's everything going?
How's everyone? There's only one other person here in this chat.
Talking to everybody in the chat, bro.
Yeah, well,
I'm talking to
they're not
everyone
going
else.
to really reply. How have I been?
Fine.
Well, I finished Daredevil, the Netflix version. Season 3 was just fucking the cum on the cake. It was fantastic. It was well done. I didn't mean for that to come out. No, but it was a banger. I really loved it, and I realized that Daredevil is now my second favorite Marvel character because he's so much like my favorite DC character, Batman. He's very grounded, vigilante. Although Batman will whoop his ass, it's still fucking amazing. Batman he's smarter than Daredevil.
Debatable.
He's way smarter than Daredevil.
He's just richer,
and he's also smarter. And I'm going to start Punisher Season 2 starting tonight because I only finished the first season last time, and then I stopped because Marvel was like, hey, these aren't canon anymore, and I was like, fuck it. I started making 3D prints again.
Liked it. Hell, I loved it.
I started making 3D prints again for my toy photography, and I started looking up like paint tutorials on like how to paint like broken stone or concrete pieces. So that's always cool. Fun to do. Yeah, that way I can make my photos look more immersive and what have you, instead of just having like an image plastered over the background.
Yeah.
And I got some new things. So I got this custom Beast Gohan head right here, along with it came with the special beam cannon finger
that light,
hand as well.
That light is fucking up your
well
picture of it.
It doesn't matter. Here, look, nice and close.
That's better. That's a little
blurry, but whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna go outside and shoot this after the podcast, and then today, while
it's expensive.
Shut the fuck up. It's not. Well, yeah. And then I got Lieutenant Titus here from the Space Marine. This is in Britain. We won. This from the Warhammer 40,000 video game Space Marine 1 and 2, and hopefully soon to be 3. It's the only Ultramarine figure I have. I have more Grey Knight figures.
That gives me great light.
A Black Legion figure, and I need to order some Necrons too. And my Tyranids are also on the way. But
you ordered Tyranids when?
Last year.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I ordered like 2 Tyranid figures because I need like a variety of enemies for them to fight. Even though the Grey Knights primarily attack Chaos, because that's their task, is to eradicate Chaos, not Necrons or Nids. That's the other chapters. But yeah. And that's pretty much it for the most part. You know this, but the viewers don't know this. We started our second D&D campaign today with session 0. Brooks is the DM. He's doing a wonderful job. He's trying to bring an aspect that I always found to be standardized in terms of campaigns. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't implemented with Witchlight, the previous one, because it was literally a book campaign. This one, he's pulling the campaign out of his ass, and it's a sandbox experience, so anything can happen.
Out of his ass. But yes.
Shut the hell up. You know what I mean? He's creating everything from his brain, which is awesome. Yep. Just like how Critical Role does their campaigns, just comes out of Matt Mercer's head and everyone else's. Yeah. All the sandbox good stuff, which is how it's supposed to be. It's your own adventure, blah blah blah, and you see where it goes.
Oh, hold on, before we go anywhere with that.
What?
D&D started with very base structured modules that were focused on specifically dungeon diving and dungeon crawling.
I didn't know that. Okay.
A lot, yeah. The original campaigns for D&D were all based on dungeon crawls. You go into a dungeon. That's why it's called Dungeons and Dragons. You go through the dungeon, you do stuff, you fight enemies, blah blah blah. It was very straightforward. That's all it is. It wasn't. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think it wasn't until like 3rd edition where people kind of started getting a little more out of the box with it, and really kind of telling different kinds of stories and trying to improve upon it by giving it like the open world aspect and growing and whatnot. And everything from there on was more free form and open world aspect kind of thing. But yeah, the whole thing is homebrewed, this whole campaign, and Brooks is really cool. He's got a lot of really cool ideas, so I'm excited to see how it turns out. Just from what he's done with like our characters already.
Oh yeah, cool. It's wonderful. Good job, Brooks, if you're listening.
Who are you playing as in the campaign? For those people,
my character is named Vermeer Diamondhold. He is a 120-year-old elf who's really good at tinkering with arrows. He creates his group of people, group of elves on the Elvish continent, create a bunch of customized arrows. So like those, basically, he's a mix of Legolas, I guess Geralt now, according to Jose, because I have a deeper voice for this character.
Oh, sorry guys.
Oh, technical difficulties. And a mix of Geralt and Hawkeye. So those 3 characters combined create my character. I just wanted a really cool archer character who's good at
there we go.
Bow and arrow stuff, as well as some close quarter combat, and as well as having customized arrows for any situation. And my character's well known for selling these amazing types of arrows, so I can just go around certain cities and whatnot and easily find someone to buy the arrows that I craft and what have you. So yeah. What about you? Nice. What's your character for the listeners?
My character's name is Deva. She is yes, I'm playing a girl. If you got a problem with it, fuck you.
It's imagination.
She is a young she is a young tiefling who her tribe of people is a very nomadic desert tribe kind of people. They kind of go around their region of the world and like hunt down monsters for villagers and towns and stuff. Sometimes the empire or whatever have you. Realistically, whoever kind of comes knocking and needs help, they go take care of it. Their people are ancient, more ancient than some other places and people that are around. They know some more of the older lore of the world, but my character is very young, naive, and kind of doesn't believe in the fairy tales kind of stuff. She kind of just looks at it as her way of life is hunting monsters, getting the money, and then continuing on her mission. But she goes through some changes during her initiation rite, or like her coming of age ceremony, basically. And she basically gets set out on this journey that we're about to get started on.
Yeah.
She's really cool. She is very much a Witcher allegory in a sense, but not exactly a Witcher.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
She,
Okay.
a part of the class was going to be based on something else, but I was having like a lot of trouble trying to work out the finer details and stuff with Brooks, so I kind of like defaulted out to just doing basic stuff to kind of
okay.
dodge all of my like all the messy bullshit. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this normal so I can figure my life out. But yeah, I basically went with that, and so it changed from what it was originally, which was going to be more of a magic based class in a sense. But I defaulted out to like kind of a battle person now. So we'll see how it goes as we go on.
Battle person. Yes.
But yeah, super fun. I'm super excited. It's gonna be hella fucking interesting, I tell you what.
Yeah. Anything else happened to you over the past 2 weeks?
What have I done? What have I been doing? Yeah, I got a new camera. If you guys can't tell, new camera looks really nice. It's very fancy.
What is it?
I got the Elgato Facecam Mark II. So not the original one they put out that was kind of crap, but the improved version that is actually really good for the price point that it's at. Very comparable to something like the Logitech C920s.
That's what I have.
So very, very close in terms of quality. I can do a lot more with it, but I don't have great lighting in my room still. The next thing I'm going to do is upgrade the lighting in here, get myself a key light and, you know, the accent and all that bullshit. So it looks better, but pretty fucking good, honestly. I did that.
Than my Logitech, yeah.
Huh?
It's better than my Logitech, yeah.
Yeah, it was on sale on Amazon, so I was like, fuck it.
Damn, nice.
I mean, it's still on sale. They're doing their spring sale, that's why. So I was like, I was going to buy it before, and it was $10 cheaper, but then I was like, I'll hold off and wait. Spring sale came by, it went up $10. I was like, it's still on sale. Fuck it, I'll take it. But enough about that. Other than that, anything else? No. Just been to a couple shows, friends hanging out, getting a little more social out here in Vegas. Finally have a group of people to kind of hang out with outside of work and like video games. So that's kind of cool. They're really neat. They're really fun people. I look forward to having more fun adventures with them. We're going to a show next week, but we're also doing brunch before the show, so should be a fun
brunch.
Yeah, the dude just wants to go out and get wasted.
Fair enough. In the fucking morning, like, yeah.
Yep. He's like, I want to get trashed. It's my birthday, and I was like, Andy, do whatever you want. We'll do whatever you want, dude. Don't even trip. And so we're gonna go do that, and then we're gonna go to a show at the end of the night. It'll be great. It's gonna be super fun. Other than that, what have I done? I started playing Dark Witch of Mortholm.
Never heard of that.
Really cool. It's a really cool small indie game. I did stream it yesterday on my channel. For those of you who may watch it or not, but it is this free indie game about you play as this queen of a castle, the castle Mortholm, and you're basically fighting this adventurer that comes in to attack you. It is in ideology, you are if you've played a Dark Souls game, you are the Dark Souls boss fighting the human player, and the human player or computer player starts learning your attacks and starts reacting to them and changing up their attack patterns, going back, grabbing new gear and changing up everything and kind of trying to find the way to beat you. And it's a very fun, kind of neat, narratively driven game, which is the cool part. It's 2D pixel art. I cannot remember the name. I will send the link to Sniffles for you guys so he can link it in the bio tonight or today for the video when it releases. That way you guys can go down in the bio, check it out. You don't have to pay anything, but the author does accept donations of any kind. So if you guys, go back and check out my video, I'll try and pull the stream video and post it up onto our YouTube so you guys can get some visual on it. If you like it, go try it out. You can try it for free and then tip them afterwards, honestly, if you want, and donate. But it is a really cool game, a very neat idea, and I actually really enjoyed it. I've only gotten one of the endings so far. It's very short, only 20-30 minutes, but it is actually a very fun kind of time. The narrative choices and the way that you go talking about yourself to the hero and the hero to you and everything else in between is very, very cool and very honestly a little bit touching in a sense, compared to some of the other things you do in indie games these days that are kind of just like point click shoot, shoot 'em ups, bullet hell kind of stuff. This one was neat. I thought it was very cool and a good mix between something I love and something else I love. So
that's cool. It sounds really fun.
Yeah. Other than that, just been streaming more.
Nice. Something I need to do as well.
New Path of Exile update came out, so I might stream that later today.
Thinking about it. Cool.
I would like to try the new class and see how that works out, since it is the melee counterpart to my main class, the Ranger. So we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting. I also I also downloaded Final Fantasy VIII Remaster, so I want to start that one up too. Not sure when, but I want to do that as a full playthrough because it's one of the lesser loved of the PlayStation franchise, the PlayStation 1 franchise. And I think it deserves more attention, even with its messy ending.
I mean, it will when it gets remade, but
it is.
I know one person that like he knows about as much as Final Fantasy as I do, but his favorite is 8. He's the only person I know that loves 8, and he explained to me why. I'm like, that's a valid reason. I don't remember what it was, but I remember talking to him about it, and like, I guess it's a great game.
But it was pretty good.
Dude, it was years ago. Though I don't remember everything. The fuck?
That's funny. I mean, yeah, the Final Fantasy VIII is really cool. It's who doesn't love stories of child soldiers? Come on.
People that don't like stories of child soldiers. Jose doesn't like to watch Gundam.
Dude, there's nothing better. This is gonna sound really bad. So take this with a grain of salt however you want. There is nothing better than a story about child soldiers fighting and not knowing why they fight and just doing what they're told. There's just something really good about those stories all the time.
Yeah, like Jormungand too.
Orphans. Jormungand.
Jormungand. He's gone.
Jormungand. That one's a really good one. I mean,
he's a killer.
Super fucking cool. I love it. But shit.
Tanya Evil. She's a child soldier.
Wow.
She is.
She technically is. You're not wrong, and I do love that series. But it taught me about how to get away with too many war crimes. So.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, let's hop into the big
let's
subject.
Let's hop into stuff.
Let's go over the big subject.
You know what? Let's pull up some things. I think we'll start with some smaller stuff first, and then hop into the main thing.
And then whatever we don't cover, we'll cover at the end.
Yeah. It's okay. They don't have to know the flow. They just have to know we're going with it,
Flow like a fart.
So I think for me, one of the biggest things that I think deserves to be brought up right at the beginning.
Yes.
Just because of how impactful this man was on my like movie going experience from childhood till now.
Yeah.
If for those of you who haven't heard, Val Kilmer passed away recently
from pneumonia at 65. Yeah. Don't
forget, pneumonia kills, even if you think you can fight it.
He survived throat cancer only to just die to fucking pneumonia. That's a bitch.
It happens. That shit happens, especially to like cancer survivors. Like it's always something small that gets you afterwards. Like I beat the big bug, and then the little one came in. It's
I
like,
guess because your body is like just raw after fighting that whole time.
Yeah,
and it's just like anything you could sneeze and they'll die. Like it's terrible.
Very unfortunate, but we will remember him. We will remember Iceman.
We'll
remember our Batman. But I'll remember him for all the things he's done for me. He's done so much in acting, like for so many different things. Like even people like Jim Carrey, who worked with him on Batman, was the Riddler. Like still, like years later, touched. He ran into what was his name? I can't remember. There was a video of him running into one of his old like acting buddies, and like having like a really like sweet moment, and it's just like he was really beloved in the community. And for me, I think he was very much an influential actor for me, just because of how he was. His range was so insane. One of my favorite characters of his from a movie that is somewhat lesser known, I feel like it didn't hit that well with everybody, but I fucking loved it. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He played a detective in that one, or not a detective, but like a private investigator, I guess.
Yeah, PI.
Kind of the same thing, kind of not, but basically it takes place in Hollywood, and he's investigating some stuff, and he plays this person named Gay Perry Van Strike. That is literally his name. But he's great. Like there was a scene post popped up on my Instagram this week where from a scene where him and Robert Downey Jr. were talking, and like it just reminded me of how good the movie is and how much I like loved that movie growing up as a kid. Basically, Robert Downey Jr. throws a gun that his mother had given him that was really fancy and very expensive into a lake where they just tried to ditch a car. And he's like, what do you think they're going to find when they drag that lake? And he's just like, he's like, the fucking gun. He's like, you know what? You know what, you go to find dictionary and look up the word stupid. You know what you'll find? And he's like, a picture of me. And he's like, no, the definition of the word, which you are. And it like turns away and walks around them like most flamboyant way. And I was just like, I fucking loved that scene. It was so good.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's a fun one. It's a good little film. I haven't watched it in a while. I think I'm gonna go watch it in his memory this weekend sometime.
Well, that sounds nice. Yeah.
But yeah,
I haven't seen a lot of his movies, to be completely honest. There's a lot of actors' movies that I haven't seen a lot of, but obviously I have seen Top Gun Maverick, and Batman Forever. So those were just great. It was nice to see him in Top Gun Maverick, even though he couldn't speak and his son had to do the vocal lines. But it was still nice that he was able to be present in the movie for one last hurrah. You know, that was awesome.
What was he in? He was in what was that shit called? He was in Tombstone.
Never saw that.
I don't know if you guys know that one. It's an older Western movie from like the 90s.
See, I got to see that. Fuck, I love Westerns.
That one's a good one. I liked that one a lot. Kurt Russell was in that. Who else was in that? Shit.
Oh yeah.
Fuck, who else was in that? Oh, now I gotta look. Oh, fucking Sam Elliott was in it. Bill Paxton, Kurt Russell. A lot of older actors, I guess, but
yeah,
very fun time. He was also in that Doors movie. He played Jim Morrison.
What's the name?
You don't remember that? Literally, the name of the movie is The Doors.
Oh no, I don't know.
It was like mid-90s. It was like a biopic, I guess. But it was good. Val Kilmer's cool. He's a good actor. I'm gonna miss him.
He was, yeah.
There's also a Power World dating sim out now, I guess.
Yeah, that's
I love a segue, but I mean, like,
who the fuck? Yeah, you tell me to work on segues? Like, wow.
So look, last year it was an April Fool's joke.
That's what I read.
Last year it was straight up an April Fool's joke, and we all laughed because Power World had just come out, so we were all just like, "Oh, that's funny. You guys are clever. How good you got us. You got us."
And now they're legit because there's an actual Steam page that you can go to and wish list it, and they're just like, "Yeah, we weren't kidding. This is an official thing. You can date the pals."
Yeah.
No laws against Pokemon, Batman. I guess Power World too. Yeah.
It was a joke at first, and they said, "Fuck these guys. We're gonna make the actual game now." And they made the actual game.
Rule 34 is gonna have so much fun with this. Oh god.
Dude, Rule 34 is not gonna need to do shit. It's gonna be made for them.
Yeah, you got a point. Those special people.
Oh god. What else? There's a couple other things. There's a couple other things you can talk about first. Come on. I know you got something.
Since we're segueing into video games, RuneScape Dragon Wilds was announced, and it's a open world survival multiplayer game within the RuneScape universe. So if you like RuneScape, but you didn't want to play it, or you did play it, you can check out this new game. Check it out on Steam. The graphics look great. It looks just like a RuneScape kind of game, but with survival elements. And I'm like, I can't wait till that comes out, because I'm definitely going to try it with this guy here, because he's like the only guy, and Jack, that I know that loves survival games, and Brooks too. Yeah.
Not to mention it's free to play.
It's free to play. Because it's RuneScape. So I'm excited.
So it looks, I like it, because I think the graphic, they could have gone with something more hardcore in terms of like realistic graphics or like upgraded graphics, but they chose to stick to their
what they know and what they know works.
Of what RuneScape was. So it's not like the best, but it is still good enough to be like a modern game, but it is very dressed down in a sense. It's very it's very simple.
Which is what
not
RuneScape is. My experience with RuneScape was I played that was my first MMO. I played it for 5 minutes and I gave up. Because I opened it in a browser. I was like a kid. I was like in elementary school.
RuneScape was difficult as a kid.
I couldn't understand. It was also a sandbox game. I didn't know what a sandbox game was. I knew what a sandbox was, but not a sandbox game. So I opened it in my browser. I created an account. The first quest is make some firewood. So I had to go chop wood, and then I was making firewood. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and do this shit for 10 minutes and make it. So I just closed the browser and I never went back to it. And then years later I went to RuneScape 3 thinking, oh, it's updated. No, I don't like that too because the controls are fucking dumb. I thought it was going to be like WASD, WASD for you console peasants. But it's a mixture of point and click with WASD. That just bothered the shit out of me. But it's ironic that I did not like to sit there and have my character manually chop wood for X amount of time. Now I take pleasure in doing that in games like Stardew Valley or Minecraft or anything, or survival games in general. I like going around just collecting shit that we need for construction of some degree or whatever. But yeah, I'm excited for that, and I can't wait for that to come out.
Little did little Sniffles know he would love to sit there for 10 minutes and fucking chop a fucking tree down later in his life.
Oh man, you want to talk about talking trees? You should talk to Ryan. Back when we used to play Black Desert Online, you would have to chop down trees to get the logs in order to craft like a raft or a boat of some degree. When they introduced the galleons, the bigger ships, you basically needed to chop trees every single day for an entire month, which is exactly what he did. You needed about 5,000 logs. Normally in Black Desert, you can set your NPCs to go gather shit for you, but not logs. You have to manually get those. So he did that. I helped him a little bit, but he did that. He would run around, chop the trees. We built the ship. We went out to sea. We got invaded by a ghost pirate ship. We survived, thankfully, and then we uninstalled the game because he was done because he put in 4 weeks of work and he's like, I don't want to do anything else. So
I mean, shit, dude. 4 weeks of time to make a ship and then get fucked right away is pretty bad.
Thankfully, it didn't explode or take any significant amount of damage. He wanted to build it just to build it, and then he was done with the game. But
you reach your goal.
Yeah,
Once you have it. What's the point?
Exactly. But yeah, I can't wait for that game as well. Other game news? What the fuck are you doing with the
with what?
Hold on. Deleting shit about? Here on the fucking...
I didn't delete anything. I never delete anything from the freaking doc.
I don't believe you. I don't believe
I don't touch it at all. You're the only one who updates it. I put in some things. Never delete.
Other game related. There isn't much other game related.
Game Informer came back.
Yeah.
Brought back from the dead by a blockchain. What was it? It was the way the titles put it is the blockchain revived Game Informer, but basically a group that does like crypto stuff. Funded Game Informer to come back and get them started up again, and basically brought back their original staff. Which
is awesome for people that like Game Informer. I used to collect the magazines as a kid as well. That was fucking awesome.
I mean, that's just big in terms of just general gaming news at all, because that means, these people who last year were displaced and were without jobs and didn't have anything to do, anywhere to go, now have their jobs back. Now can do what, number one, that they love to do, on top of having some form of security in what they do.
I loved getting those, especially with the back when we used to get game demos, just pop the CDs in, whatever, and play that shit. Good times. I gotta find my old magazines.
Still love it. I know my Game Informer magazines are sitting somewhere in a storage unit. I'm sure
they're probably all sticky from like humidity or something over the years.
But I used to love it. Like those were my things. Every week I'd get one. I'd lay back, pop it open, and just go through all the stuff. And honestly, I want to say Game Informer is kind of what pushed me as a person to start doing, like, when I originally started college, to do journalism. I did printed media journalism as my original major. Switched it out to business in later years now. But
I thought it was music. You went to MI, didn't you?
Originally, no, I didn't go to MI. I wanted to go to MI, but
Oh,
that
I
was
thought you did.
before.
Okay, never mind.
No. I did want to, but it's fucking. Oh my god, that place is expensive as fuck. But Game Informer is what really pushed me down that journalism route. Honestly, kind of what led me to doing this kind of stuff because I love video games. I love talking about stuff like this because it's my thing. But this is big news for me in terms of seeing people I grew up writing articles talking about video games, getting their shit back. And that's like a big win for the industry, in my opinion.
I completely agree. I'll probably subscribe to it because I did that as a kid as well. I'd get one every week along with Shonen Jump, which I have no idea how I got a subscription to that. I think my mom signed me up accidentally, and I had some subscription for an entire year. It was hilarious. I'm like, why did you sign me up? It's like, oh, you like that anime stuff. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But to keep the flow with video games, you want to hop into the main topic and then cycle back to the rest later?
Sure. Give me 1 second here to pull this stuff up.
The big news. Nintendo Switch Direct. Nintendo Switch 2 Direct is the big subject for this podcast, everybody. I want to know if you guys are going to get a Switch 2, or if you have a Switch 1 and you don't feel like getting one. I don't have a Switch 1. I wanted to get a Switch 1 during COVID, but then, because I was I was lucky to get those stupid the stimulus checks. Those were nice, and now they all disappeared, unfortunately, because bills happen. But I wanted to get one, and then they went out of stock because scalpers and people just kept ripping them off the internet, which pissed me off. And then the price went up by like $150. And I saved money. I'm like, okay, man, I'm gonna buy it at the end of the year. I waited until like October. The prices were still up on every website, still not changing. So I just said, fuck it. I'm not going to buy a Switch at all because they just didn't go down, and it pissed me off. I really wanted to play Animal Crossing with my friends and everything so they can see how I design my island. It would look like a homeless encampment because I care more about functionality than aesthetics. But yeah, because all my friends, especially when we play Terraria, whenever we get back to that, John, you can see how ugly my house is going to look compared to yours and everyone else's. But yeah, I
don't have a house. I have a hovel. I put something somewhere, and
you did.
That's my stuff. That's all I ever do. I don't usually.
No, you had a fancy house on Jack's server, no?
Well, that was back then, and that was after we did everything else. Like, now that we've beaten Moonlord again on fucking the other one, like, I'll probably go around. Or actually, no, I actually made a house in that one too, just because I was bored. That we had nothing to do at the time.
Oh, okay.
They were like farming or mining or something, and I was like, I don't want to do all that right now. So I made a house.
Yeah, that's usually what inspires me too. Is like, I just feel like building today or whatever. But yeah, the Switch 2. Go. Get
Switch 2. So, I take it you did your homework?
Some homework. I recently they showed some gameplay of the new Donkey Kong game, which we can talk about that when we get to that. But
by homework, I mean you did watch the actual thing, right?
Yeah, and most of it.
The whole 1 hour thing?
Most of it. Not yours, but the actual thing, yeah.
You didn't need to watch mine, but the actual thing is what I was hoping for. All right, so
I'll see if I
we'll
remember
hop
stuff.
right into this. Switch 2. The direct happened on, what was it, Wednesday? Yeah.
It was Wednesday.
Wednesday night.
Yeah.
It was Wednesday morning, actually, but
for Japan.
I didn't get to it until Wednesday night.
Oh, no, for us too, yeah.
So first thing that started off and kicked off this Nintendo Direct, which was already predestined and spoken about prior on the last Direct to be focused solely on the Switch 2. Some of the things we got from that in terms of information were some new group chat functions, some text stats on the
which is nice,
on the actual Nintendo Switch itself, a couple of peripheral kind of things, peripheral items that I would say, peripheral items I think is better, and a lot of video game specific stuff, actual hardware. Most of the reveals for hardware seem to be working with working with their publishing partners and development partners. So a lot of third-party games, not a lot of first-party that weren't upgrades from their original Switch versions or renewed versions of an older game. However, we'll get into the game list later. First, let's start with the details. So, the tech details. This new Switch comes with a fully redesigned dock. This dock has its own built-in fan to help work with the cooling system to keep to keep it from overheating, preventing any terrible problems. The way that they have designed this dock is there is a fan that pulls from inside and pushes out from the top. It rests on the back of the dock, and it is a bit of a kind of like a half cylindrical shape on the back end. Its shape and its size look to be good enough. However, the big problem I have with this technology in terms of its functionality is that we are now focusing on a 1080p resolution running at 120 frames per second, which is phenomenal, great. That's where we want to move in terms of advancement in consoles, right?
Yes.
The Joy-Cons themselves now are magnetic.
Oh yeah,
How
that's
strong
nice.
they are. They're claimed to be very strong. How strong they actually are is very.
They say it's hard
right
to accidentally disconnect it, which is it's good. We have to wait and test that, but yeah, that's a great idea to prevent for example, kids breaking it by just ripping it off out of nowhere.
Adults fucking break it, man.
True,
even
out of raging.
Not even raging, just playing it like normal. Like I would. Just do anything and jiggle. Oh fuck.
Yeah, that's just annoying.
Right back in. Like there was always one Joy-Con, no matter what you had. If you had the original Switch or the OLED Switch or whatever, you all know very, very well that the Joy-Cons come loose very easily, and it's always one. It's never both. I don't know why. It's the left one. It's the right one. Sometimes it just don't work.
That's terrible.
Like we wanted. And it comes with the way that things are. It was a simple locking mechanism where you slide it in, pins lock in, you push the button to release the pins and pull out. Now the Joy-Cons will be connected from the sides by a very strong magnet circuit, allegedly. And there will be a lever release on the back of the Switch to release those magnets from that state and pull out. I do not know how well that's going to work. I'm curious. I want to see it. Again, hands-on details are being waited for, but the Joy-Cons, as we saw in the teaser trailer, also moving like mice, have been confirmed to have mouse modes.
That's cool.
One thing one of our viewers, Red, brought up when we were watching it was that he's concerned about the accessibility of these mouse controls because the Switch, as you know, is predominantly a handheld console and used on the go. So you're talking about people who are riding the train to work, riding the bus to work, or carpooling or whatever have you, on the go. People who are traveling for business and taking flights, you're most of the time going to be using it in an area where you really don't have the necessary components to do all that kind of mouse movement stuff.
Yeah.
I think the mouse thing is going to be a gimmick and just kind of a quality of life thing for certain types of games.
I agree.
Obviously for shooters, for things like Civ, where strategy games where mouse and keyboard kind of like movement would be a much easier choice. But the mouse mode seems to be really unique. I wonder what the DPI is going to be on it. I wonder how well that's going to transfer with Bluetooth right next to it. As we know, Bluetooth mice have gotten much better in years gone by.
That is true.
But you still always have the running issue of, will the Bluetooth hold up if there's higher cellular traffic or whatever have you in the area? Will it bog it down? Will you have other problems?
I always have wired. Yep.
Yeah. There's always a multitude of things that could go wrong with it. There's also the LCD HDR screen, which will be super beautiful. Don't get me wrong.
It looks great.
With its 1080p resolution, it's great. Docked, it's going to run the hell out of that dock, but that's why they have the fan. The screen size has been increased to 7.9 inches without suffering an extra thickness boost. It'll still be the exact same thickness, which I fucking think is 13 millimeters. If I recall correctly, I didn't write it down. I forgot. I believe it's 13 millimeters for both. So the current Switches and the Switch 2 will be the same thickness with a screen that is about 2 inches larger in area. So that's going to be nice. I think I'm hoping it's not going to be too big. 8 inches is a lot. Whatever anyone tells you, don't get it wrong. 8 inches is a lot of space.
I guess so.
But I wonder what the weight of it's going to feel like. So especially with all of the hardware that is going into the Joy-Cons themselves as well. You're going to have 3D audio headphone functionality. There will be a built-in microphone on top of it.
And the microphone has the ability to recognize your voice over background noise, which is impressive technology. I wish a lot of microphones had that today.
It is a very, what is the word? It has noise it is going to be noise cancellation. It will be focused on the player in front of it, and hopefully it will work really well. The way that the tech demo described it and showed it was that some dude was hitting a blender in the background and it did not muddle up his voice in the voice chat while he was using the built-in microphone. Again, there is audio headphone functionality for it, whether wired or Bluetooth. So that's always an option, and honestly always probably almost
preferred.
Always a better option.
Yeah.
You get the improved kickstand. It has an actual like varying range of stuff instead of the normal kickstand where you just pop it out to that one angle. You can actually make it go all the way down or all the way up. It just, USB-Cs for charging and for the peripheral equipment on the top and the bottom of the Switch. A standard 250 gigabyte internal storage. The dock will have a resolution of 4K and HDR on TV mode only. Or HDR was not stated about its work on the TVs, depending on what TV, obviously, I'm sure you have. And they talk about backwards compatibility. We're not exactly sure because they didn't really give too much insight on what they mean by that. They said some Switch games will be backwards compatible, not all. So we have to see
which is expected.
What is backwards compatible, which, to be fair, is a bit strange considering that the cartridges are basically a small upgrade from what they are currently. Only changes to the cartridges of these games is going to be the ability to transfer data back into the system and everything from the cartridge itself. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the biggest change was to make it so that all other Switch games aren't going to be compatible with it, but that remains to be seen at this point. Another thing is the SR and SLs, the side Joy-Cons, the little clicker buttons at the top, are going to be much bigger, and they are going to be made metal, which is part of the maglock system for the Joy-Con 2.
Mm-hmm.
It looks pretty cool. So we got that. That's all the tech stuff. We got the group chat functions, which gives us party chat, which we all know Nintendo is abysmal at doing their party chat and party stuff.
Yeah.
Their network in general for online activity is pretty bad.
Very mid.
They do not give much attention to it at all. The group chat functionality for the new Switch will be given a soft launch and free trial once it launches. I think for a couple of weeks, I believe is what they said.
Yeah.
But the game chat will require a online membership like most consoles do now, which is status quo. It's nothing new there, right? It is basic. It is your basic fucking entry point. I think as console gamers, we understand that price point. We understand that as well.
You're willing to bite the bullet, yeah.
It's not as bad as people seem to make it seem, but I have questions about that as well, which I will get back to after I run through the whole thing.
Yeah, no problem.
Game share is coming back. So just like in the old days of the DS where you could have one copy of a game and play it with your friends, that is going to be a functionality for Switch 2 exclusive titles now. So say you want to play Mario Kart or Mario Kart World or Mario Kart or Mario Party with your friends, and only one of you has it, one person can be the host and everyone else can play and join in and enjoy the whole game together.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that idea. And then we've got the games. Maybe we'll focus down on the details first, on the tech stuff, and then we'll hop over to the games and talk about those. So thoughts, blah, 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 blah. I know I started talking, but...
I gave some thoughts.
You don't interrupt me in time, so
I try not to because you're going on a roll.
And it doesn't matter. You just interrupt me. So go ahead. Let's talk about it. We have all the details here now. It's all out there, and I'll just copy this for you in the other thing.
Copy of where? On the doc?
Yeah. I had my own. I had my own that I was taking notes for.
Put it like at the bottom of the, like underneath the hot take topics.
Oh, too late.
Oh, okay. I like the idea that the game sharing is there because that's something that is absent a lot on PC, except for certain games like Split Fiction and It Takes Two and whatnot, which is great because that's the first time I heard those games or PC games would have that sort of thing where one person has a copy, everyone else can fucking play, which is great. So the fact that they continue to do that with the Switch 2 is fantastic, in my opinion. The voice chat, I knew that was going to come eventually because that's just a necessity for all gamers in general. The fact that it was non-existent for many years for Nintendo products in general is just like, okay, that sucks. But
yeah,
I can understand like the downside of that as well because, we came from the era of, as plainly in memery as I can put it, the Call of Duty lobby eras. So maybe they were trying to avoid that sort of thing. Maybe they weren't. I don't know because they don't really cater to the West. They cater to themselves and the West just likes it. That's just how Nintendo does it. Which I know other companies have started to do that, but it's a whole other situation. It's a whole other
yourself and be genuine. And
that's what led Nier Automata to success from Square Enix. I read that in an article. But I like the details. I did the only thing specifics. This counts, but it's the price. I would have bought it.
What is the price point for those that don't know?
It's $449 for the system itself. $449, and the first game that is available to purchase is Mario Kart World, which we'll get into that more, but the price is $80 for digital. Physical is $90, but if you bundle it with the Switch, it evens out to $500. So they chop it, right? It's $500? Yeah, they chop it. They chop it down. And another tech, since we're on the tech thing, if you can speak Japanese, they chop up $130 for you. So you can just have the Japanese version, which I'm pretty sure people will modify that to somehow, those tech wizards out there, they'll brick it, as they say, and make it available to all regions, which people will buy and they'll be scalped anyway to some degree.
The price point for the bundled Mario Kart World one is going to be $499.
$499, yeah, $500, yeah. Hold on.
An elephant in this room.
Huh? I muted that on the stream so they can't hear it, fucker. But I like the mouse idea, but I agree with you on how that's going to be a gimmick because if I think about it, and I'm like, this looks cool, but the problem I have with it being a mouse function, it reminds me too much of those mice designed for FPS that are a pistol grip. True FPS gamers,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
True FPS gamers don't give a fuck about that because they know it is a terrible idea to have a pistol grip mouse if you're playing an FPS game versus just using the mouse. Because with the mouse, you want to look up or down, you just do this. Pistol grip, you have to move a little bit more. You have to do this. You're going to hurt your wrist. It's a lot more difficult. So for the mice, for the Joy-Cons moving as the mice, first of all, it doesn't look comfortable. Your hand essentially is resting. This is the R36, by the way. This thing is a great emulator for $35 on AliExpress.
Hell yeah.
But essentially, you're holding the Joy-Cons like this the entire time. This is not comfortable for your goddamn hand. You might not get carpal tunnel, but it'll get annoying sitting like this. The reason why mice are shaped this way is because your hand can cover the whole thing and rest comfortably on it. And plus, because and also it's not the same as a mouse. The mouse, you have a nice little mouse pad. By the demonstration, it looked like they were using the entire table to move and whatever. I'm like, nobody wants to do that. Plus, I don't like the fact that the left one is also a mouse because that just, I don't see the purpose in having the left one be a mouse either. It's weird to me.
We'll get back to the double one once we get to the game, since there is a game they showcased that was
There's
specifically involving both mice. But
one influencer liked it. I forgot his name.
I think one of the things I have, like I was saying earlier, is that you're always on the go. The Switch is intended to be a handheld, portable kind of thing. Is that like, how are you going to use the mouse functions out in the real world for, say, you're at the park and you got to play a game? And I guarantee it's not like this, but what if there's a game that is only functionable by mouse controls?
Or part of the game that is.
Bench, you're sitting at the park bench and now you've got to rub your Joy-Cons across this like shitty, janky wooden fucking table, possibly destroying your Joy-Cons in the process of playing this game. Obviously, the answer is don't do it. Wait till you get home.
Yeah.
But like, are people going to be bringing mouse pads around with them? Are you going to have like a gaming mouse pad? That's one of these long ones that like lets you have the space in the room to play the game while you're doing something. Like,
no,
it seems like it's too much extra in my opinion for that kind of thing.
In my opinion, if I have the Switch and there's a game that has that function, I'm not going to want to play it. If I'm constantly playing on the go, like how I used to with gaming handhelds, I would play games that I can play anywhere. I'm not going to bother buying or playing a game that is restricted to one gimmick use. Like that doesn't warrant a purchase for me. So I'll just stick to the normal games and what have you.
Yeah. And I just like how the Switch itself has the choice, like the original or the Switch One, I guess you could call it now, has the choice for certain games to use the gyroscope inside for puzzles and Legend of Zelda games. You can turn it off and just use the sticks. I'm positive that there's going to be something similar to that with Switch 2 games. Like you said, and like we brought up in general, gimmick. And that is like the big thing. It's like, it is a handheld system at the end of the day. It's going to be your portable gaming device for whatever have you.
Yep.
But the gimmick is the mouse control thing. And I think the mouse control thing, they'll lean in hard to, just like everyone else did. PlayStation leaned into it hard when they released their PlayStation 5 and had the adaptive triggers. You kind of don't see it all that often. You see it and feel it in like PlayStation 5 games, but its impact is not as big as they made it seem when we first started playing. It is nice to feel every once in a while, but it goes away in all sorts of stuff, you know, like but the mouse itself too, same thing. You'll have it for quite a few things, quite a few games, especially at launch for the first couple of years, and I guarantee you it'll fall off as a functionality in terms of usage past that into the actual lifespan of the Switch 2.
The other tech thing we forgot to mention is the battery life. It has worse battery life than the original Switch. The Nintendo Switch 2 Switch has 2.5 to 6.5 hours of battery life versus the OLED version of the Switch 1 is 4.5 to 9 hours. So if you want to be playing longer, that's going to probably die on you faster, unfortunately. So that's one of the downsides with it for now, at least.
Even that, let's say that. So you said 2.5 to 6, right?
Yeah.
So it is a shorter range than even
by 2
its
hours.
biggest competitor, the Steam Deck.
Oh, yes.
So the Steam Deck lasts only for 2 hours, around 2 hours to 8 hours. And
true.
I think the thing we have to point out with that is that it is highly based on the settings of the game you play.
That is also
and
true.
What kind of games you are playing. So if you're, for example, running Cyberpunk on your Steam Deck, Switch 2, whatever you're going to play it on now. Shocking news. Cyberpunk's coming to a console that probably can't run it.
Yeah.
You lose time. Same thing with the Steam Deck. You play God of War Ragnarok on your Steam Deck, I guarantee you'll get about 2 hours out of it because that is a highly graphical.
Same with Elden Ring.
Game.
My uncle played. He has the Steam Deck. He showed me when it first dropped and he got it. Yep. And he was showing me and I was impressed. I was like, holy fuck, this is Elden Ring. It looks great. But yeah, it only lasts a couple hours.
Yeah. And that is, the cost we pay for having a portable handheld device. It can be mitigated with certain aspects, turning down the brightness of the screen, allowing for lower end graphical additions, or not additions, but
additions,
changes, options in your settings of the game, turning your graphics down,
tweaking it. Yeah,
there's small tweaks you can make to extend that life, obviously, but 2.5 to 6 is a sharp contrast to the 4 to what was it, 4 to 8, 4 to 6?
It's 4.5 to 9 for the original
4.5.
LED version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a long time if you think about it. Say you've got a 5-hour flight. I don't think, unless you bring a portable charger with you, I don't think you're going to want to play Cyberpunk on your Switch.
Yeah, no.
For like 2 hours and then be stuck in the air for doing nothing the rest of the time, you know?
Yeah. But what?
I was waiting for you to continue off of me, giving you room to breathe there and speak.
There's a lot of things buzzing through my head at the moment, but this isn't related to the tech stuff at the moment. So I'm trying to compartmentalize it for a certain part of the stream or the cast.
So it looks like again, it looks like Nintendo's moving to fix their problems with the party settings, the party system, and I don't know. The thing I'm worried about with it is there's a lot going on. So the party system itself consists of you and, as they showed, 4 other players who can simultaneously join a party, have party chat, link up, have fun. On top of that, you are able to share your screen, and it's not just it's not limited to sharing one screen at a time like how you are on Discord when you watch people's streams. You click a stream on Discord, you can watch that screen go to somebody else's. No, the Nintendo Switch 2 has much bigger, grander ideas for their party chat. They want you to be able to see everybody's screen
at 20
the
FPS
same time at a low FPS on the bottom of the screen. As the videos show, as your examples, the screen itself does have very limited quality when it comes to the frames per second rate. It is definitely capped, but you're looking at pretty slow frame rates. It's understandable, because can you imagine how hard it would be to run a stream at high frames per second on a handheld console like this? I get it. I understand why they did it. Technical difficulties would insist upon the system if we didn't do something like that, right? But on top of that, you also have the camera system that you can add on to it. Another add-on price, another add-on peripheral. You can stream yourself. You can take pictures of yourself. You can add yourself to the game.
Yeah, you can add yourself to the game. It's like a green screen function, basically, which is amazing. I like that function.
Considering you don't have a green screen at all behind you.
Nope.
It's impressive to see a technology like that. It's unique.
Yeah, it's what phones have, which is cool. They just did that for the Switch too. It's nice.
So it's there's a lot like in this system. There's a lot packed into it. A lot that can change the shape of the future for Nintendo. Will it is left to be seen, because we obviously don't have hands-on. We don't have anyone have hands-on that can talk about it at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely enthralling and exciting to see a console come out that is promising so much growth. Yes, don't get me wrong here. I'm speaking growth in terms of from its previous iteration and only in its own ecosystem. So the Switch 1 to the Switch 2 is a massive improvement from what it was originally. This is true. It is also true that, yes, maybe this game is going to be old generation quality. There are already stills popping up all over the internet showing graphical comparisons from the Switch 2 to a game from the PS4 or what have you, from that generation of consoles. Yes. Or Nintendo's still technically behind.
And for the games that they do up in graphics, for example, Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, they get slight upgrades from the Switch to the Switch 2 version. The memes say before and before, because it looks exactly the same, almost. It just looks like there's more contrast in the Switch 2 version. So there's not... to me, there wasn't that much of a huge graphical bump and what have you. But
so I think the thing with Breath of the Wild is going to be more of a frame rate cap and fluidity increase. Tears was not too bad, but the same thing. If this system can run games at 120 frames per second, like
that's impressive. That's good.
If it can, then yes, these games are going to look much better outside of these tech demos when we have them in hand. If not, we'll
That's a shame,
cross that
man.
bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
But before everyone comes at me in the comments saying this Switch is blah 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 bullshit, what's the word? I recommend you to look at it from a different lens. That's the whole point about the system, is that it is an upgraded improvement, and yes, at a relatively hefty cost nowadays. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot of money. But it is an improvement that is necessary for Nintendo to keep up with what they're going with right now. Remember, this is a console that is geared towards younger generations, as well as being geared towards family play. This is not specifically.
That's always been their thing.
Yeah. Nintendo's been focused on family stuff since the dawn of time. But it's not geared to those of us, I think, or it is not catering to those of us who own PCs and are deep within the PC culture of, high graphical end bullshit.
Yeah.
It is not made for you. It is made for the kid in you. It is made for you to play these games that you grew up with, the nostalgia of it all. It is made for the families who want their kids to kind of grow up with the games that they sort of grew up with and not get thrust straight into Call of Duty lobbies at age 6.
Yeah.
It is for the people who want something to pass the time, to be handheld and portable, that don't have the money to spend on a full PC and Steam Deck and the library that ensues with that game.
Well, at this rate, with this price of Mario Kart World being $80 to $90, who knows what's going to happen? You might as well buy a PC because you buy 6 games and you're already there, for crying out loud.
But it isn't all in one moment investment. It isn't that. That's the thing. Is that it's over time as you buy the games. It's don't get me wrong. We are going to get to that, and I'm going to harp on that once we get to the game section. But I think, in my opinion, or actually here, let's do this instead. Let's do something a little different.
Okay.
You watched a majority. Would you say you watched about 75% at least of the whole thing?
I don't remember. You just have to say stuff, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, yeah. My brain.
Let's do this. Let's give it a review, since we both watched it already, and this will be just kind of a recap. What are we feeling about the presentation of the Direct? So let me show you all the review. Sparkles, pictures, words.
I'm waiting. Where's the okay?
Our system of review here, at least in my eyes, and I believe we had agreed on this at one point, is going to be currently a 5-point scale. So
that's what you mean.
1
Yeah.
point,
Okay.
2 points, 3 points, 4 points, 5 points. 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest, 5 being a perfect and or near perfect presentation or
it's perfect
achievement. It is good. It is great, and you don't find many things wrong with it, if any at all. 4 being, this is a great product. There are some problems. This is a great thing. I just don't feel like it has reached or gained the garnering of a full score. 3 being good and or okay. It can lean either way. It is the neutral point on the scale. It
literally mid.
Bad. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It does not mean that it is amazing. It is just, this is okay. This is good. This is fine.
Yep.
Sort of.
Like IGN 7, basically.
We're not going to comment on that. There's a 2, which is bad. Obviously, 2 is bad. There can be lots of improvements, but we can still find certain things that are good. There are certain things about it that stand out to us. And a 1 being, this is pretty fucking bad. I think 1 speaks for itself. A nat 1 in Dungeons and Dragons will get you fucked up. You feel me?
Like you got today? Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. That nat 1 was basically a drunken
became
master
a fucking 0. I was like, oh, God.
Brooks gave me like real big grace on that because I wanted to be cool and trip him. Instead, I ended up tripping, spilling my beer, staring at it, and getting another beer. So, it turned out pretty good. And
thanks, Brooks. It was funny.
But yeah, so on our For the Geek scale, what would you give this whole Direct as a presentation?
I go to 5 specifically because Nintendo always does well with presentations. As much as I shit on Nintendo throughout my years of being a gamer, Simon knows all about this. Compared to other companies, especially award shows like the Game Awards here and there, and other ones like E3 when it was around, Nintendo just knows. Yeah, rest in pieces. Nintendo knows it's similar to when like Final Fantasy 14 does their presentations and whatever.
Yeah.
It's straight to the point. It's exactly what viewers want. It's like, here's the system, here's the games, this is how much it cost, this is what it can do, this is our projection, all this other. That's exactly what Nintendo's good at, and they can just rope you in because they get to the heart of it. So I give them a 5. I don't really. There's nothing wrong with. I've never had a problem with their presentations, but I haven't seen a lot of them. I've probably seen about like 5 or 6 directs over the past 10 years. Because I took interest in it for, podcasting purposes or just general news. But in my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with it. They do a great job. So I give it a 5 out of 5.
Oh,
what about you?
Okay, cool. I am going to actually give it, I'm going to give it a 4. I think there were a lot of things that were really good about this presentation, in terms of the actual presentation itself and in terms of the content. I, however, felt like they brought up certain things and certain questions, which, don't get me wrong, they did open a Q&A document of kinds where they had done interviews with each of the 3 presenters who were all chief directors of the project afterwards, and kind of addressing certain parts of the development process and the things they were thinking of in terms of development and on the system and in the games. However, I think they brought up certain things that they did not give enough answers to. So there were many questions as to, for me, on the technological standpoint of, is this system actually going to run as intended? 120 frames per second is a lot. It is a lot.
That's PC game territory right there.
And even the PlayStation 5 when it first came out was not capable of running a lot of things at 120 frames per second. It has changed now in the 5-6 years that it has been around, but it took those 5-6 years to get there. Claiming that it can run the 120 frames per second and claiming that the games will run at that, I could believe, because Nintendo typically does not have graphically straining or, strenuous kind of games that they build in terms of their power output.
Yeah.
But will it? Will it work that way on the handheld? Will it work that way on the TV dock? On the TV through the dock? They brought up things about the camera that I'm just wondering why the camera had to be included at all in this direct, because it kind of felt like they brought it up, showed it to us, and said, you can have a camera with your Switch. And that was it. There was, other than that, there really wasn't much focus or functionality on the camera. Again, the presentation itself, great. It was a good presentation, very well done. Just like Nintendo Directs, they focus really well on the pageantry. They focus very well on all of the other stuff. They didn't actually, the thing I liked a lot too was that they didn't circle back to a lot of the games they talked about on last week's Direct. They didn't really bring up a lot of that, other than to say, the Direct you saw last week, all those games, they're going to be on Switch too. They're going to get they're going to have updates too and be up-resed. It's going to be, you're going to love it. But all in all, I feel like there were too many technological questions left unanswered that they brought up. On top of there being, I expected more out of the game's offer than I got. I feel like the Switch 2 is a huge event, and the fact that Nintendo doesn't seem to have their own, they don't have their own lineup of first-party titles prepared, other than 2.
That's a good point too.
That are not just pulling from the old, the old age of Switch and up-resing, seems to me like a very big missed opportunity. The new Donkey Kong game, amazing.
It looks fantastic. It looks like Mario Odyssey with Donkey Kong.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
That's crazy.
They even went back to the old Donkey Kong
appearance,
character design.
Yeah, instead of the rare. I like the rare one because I grew up on that one. But yeah, they went to that original design with the more sunken eyes and the black outline thing, which is cool.
Yeah, And don't get me wrong, that looks great. I bet you it'll play great. Same thing with Mario Kart World, open world Mario Kart.
Forza Horizon meets Mario. That's awesome.
But like, yes, we needed a new Mario Kart game. It's been 10 years, 12 years. Sure. We needed a new Donkey Kong game. Tropical Freeze was the last one that came out. Sure. Yes. And that was for what? The Wii U?
Yeah.
What about other things? Why? I get sticking to our main first-party IPs, but there are many other first-party IPs that Nintendo could be working on that they have not talked about, that they should have emphasized and maybe focused a lot more on. Brought out a little bit more than just the 2 titles at launch in that case. Actually, I don't remember if I wrote down the release date for Bonanza. I think it's a Switch launch. I think it's a Switch 2 launch. I can't fully remember right now. I might have missed that on my notes. They brought out a new Kirby Riders game. Like,
oh yeah, there's
so much, but that's like, those are the 3 brand new games that are first party IPs that
for the Switch 2,
come out for the Switch 2. And
like even Metroid Prime 4, that's still for the original Switch. What happened? Hello? Technical difficulty. Oh dear. Hello?
Yeah?
You froze for like a second.
You glitched for a second too.
What the fuck? Okay, anyway.
Well, you were glitching more than I was, but
that's odd.
I'm assuming. I think your internet's about to give out again.
Please don't. Oh my god.
Oh man. But 4 out of 5. It was a good Nintendo presentation. Yeah. WNDs all over the fucking place, and we'll get into those soon enough. Don't even trip, because it is strange. They are weird Nintendo decisions that just don't make sense to us, but fucking work for some reason. So 4 out of 5 is what I'm going to give this presentation. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. There were enough hype moments for me and excitement coming out of this that outweigh my concerns and worries for what's to come.
I need to design like a logo for our reviews so we can just put it on social media.
That's why I did the...
Yeah. I'll have to look for a thing
later. The words. Just sparkles and fucking pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. That's how I feel. I'm excited. But let's close up this whole topic on the games that we saw on there, and kind of like really fucking cool stuff that we think is super fucking cool. I'm gonna start with the weird Nintendo decisions, which is Dragon Drive. It is essentially the game I was talking about earlier that is controlled with the 2 mouse controls.
Yeah.
You basically are playing Tony Hawk's Basketball Skater with mouse controls.
With the
mouse cons.
The fucking
and you're riding around in wheelchairs.
What's the car game that does that? Rocket League. Rocket League. There you go. Yeah, Rocket League wheelchairs with Tony Hawk.
It's not necessarily Rocket League, but the idea is there.
It's ridiculous.
It is more basketball than soccer. But it is fucking weird. It is a weird one, and it's, for some reason, I'm hyped for it. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense, but it looks really fun. I am just really worried about the mouse control thing.
Yeah, me too.
But it looks so cool. It was literally the strangest thing I have ever seen in my life. And I guarantee you it is not the last strange thing Nintendo's going to do to shock me.
What?
Take your turn. Talk about something you liked in terms of the games, or
I mean, I already did. I mentioned the Donkey Kong thing because I haven't played like a Donkey Kong game in years, and just looking at how they decided to make it similar to Odyssey, which I didn't play Mario Odyssey either, but the fact that everything is basically destructible in this game reminds me of Battlefield. Well, back when Battlefield was good, everything was everything was destructible, and I'm like, that's awesome, because I like the fact that he was just climbing on like a rock face, and then he's like, oh, I'm gonna bash my fist in here, jump through the fucking the rock face to whatever's on the other side. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
that's fantastic. I love the creativity with that, and
very clever.
Despite the fact that it's Mario Kart open world and whatever, like Forza Horizon, I like the fact that people can just go out there and just race from track to track, or have an extremely long ass race, which I know people are going to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Who can get from one side of the map to the other fastest?
Yeah, and then not only that, all the character roster is
Cannonball Run, baby.
Ridiculous. The fact that they have the dead fish and the cow as playable race characters is crazy. Like Simon pointed this out to me the other day was from Mario Kart 64, where there's the cows on the Moo Moo farm. That's the cow. I'm like, oh my god, I remember that. That's hilarious. But yeah, I don't. The things I don't like are the price, because I don't want the industry standard to be raised. We just raised the game standard to 70. It doesn't need to go any higher for this game. Forza Horizon is way better quality and graphics and simulation at racing than Mario Kart will ever be, because Mario Kart is more is arcadey the word? I guess so. Yeah. Versus more race simulator arcadey like Forza, and it costs less.
I would still say Forza is arcadey.
It is, but it's not as accurate as Project Cars or Assetto Corsa or Gran Turismo. Yeah, or normal Forza. But still, or Forza as the Italians say it. But apparently, I don't think that's justifiable. It's $80. Like, regardless of tariffs or not, which we're not going to get into. Still,
I don't want to talk about that.
No, me neither. Still, it shouldn't be $80. That alone made me not want to get the console, because I'm just like, I don't want this to be the standard. And my argument was, if I was going to get a handheld at this point, I can get a Steam Deck, because I have access to all my games, because Steam has constant sales, because according to Simon, Nintendo doesn't do a lot of sales because they're very confident in their product, because kids and their kids' parents will always pay the basic price, versus adults like us. And people without kids were like, oh, look, there's a sale every fucking week on Steam that has games with anywhere between 5 to 95% off on video games, for crying out loud. And you can have that entire game library just boom on your Steam Deck. Not everyone is Steam Deck compatible, but it's still there. Versus here's $80 is one game. Like, I could get 10 games for $80 on my computer, instead of paying $80 for one that can run, that isn't as large as Forza Horizon or Gran Turismo. So that's the downside of this whole Switch Direct 2 thing, is the price point, and unfortunately made me change my mind, because I was really pumped. I really wanted to join the handheld race, but I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because if I think about it, I bought this and I hardly use it. I bought this solely so when I'm bored from looking at my screen or the ceiling, like I often look at the ceiling, I'll lay on my bed, instead of doom scrolling, I'll just...
That's a nice ceiling.
It is, because someone built that and I didn't. But I could just sit there and play Pokemon Emerald, because I never played it before, and I did. I beat the first gym later. She can fuck off. But yeah, the price is just no. I'd rather just play with an emulator that was $35 that has Nintendo games there. So yeah, that's
the price point for video games moving up is a big jump. I won't say it is the worst thing, because Nintendo has not jumped their price for video games since before the launch of the Switch. Even Switch games that came out were still $59.99, sitting at the $60 price point.
Well, that's good.
So they were not the worst of prices for a long time.
It got so bad that people were spamming the live chat of the streams of the Direct 2, drop the price constantly, over and over and over, hoping that Nintendo would drop the price. I've never seen that happen before. They don't fucking care, because again, certain Japanese companies that know what they're doing and got their money for, and got to where they are today, don't give a shit about what the West has to say for the most part, or a lot of people outside of the country of origin. They will do what they do, and the true fans will end up paying anyway. Simon, I know, told me himself, if there's a Metroid Prime game that costs $200, he will fucking buy that shit, because he loves Nintendo as much as he loves Apple. You're insane. I would never do that for a Star Wars or Dragon Ball game, even though I paid $110 for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. That's a whole other story, because I've been waiting over a decade for the sequel to Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Anyway, point is, stop raising prices of games. Stop it. We're not there yet. Wait another 20 years. Fuck. Even then,
So-
I'll buy shit on sale.
The bigger problem, I don't have too much of a problem with the $10 raise on current price. I can, not current.
We already
obviously,
have. It went to 70.
we went to 70. It is moving to 80 with the Switch 2. I'll accept that for inflation, for whatever the fuck else. As an adult gamer, we get to a point where, yeah, maybe these games are getting a bit overpriced now. I don't think 80 is where we should be, but how often do I buy Switch games at all? It's really rare. It's usually every once in a while. So buying an $80 game every once in a while, I spend more money on other things at one moment in time than I do on a Switch.
Like your shirts.
To me, $80 isn't that bad. It's bad. Don't get me wrong. It is expensive, but again, we need to look at the world through a different lens, not from the old and past tense. Like I'm willing to have this conversation on a live stream or something for you guys to maybe help you guys understand a little bit more the growing costs of production and development. I don't know, whatever. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
That could be
the one thing I'm not happy about with this is that their announcement for the price did not happen to mention the upgrade prices for old Switch games. So, like we were saying, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom will get an upgrade from their Switch 1 versions. Pokemon Legends ZA will get their upgrade from Switch 1 version, so on and so forth. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Mario Party Jamboree, you name it, it's going to be there. Fucking Hyrule, no, not Hyrule Warriors. What was the other one? There was another one. What was it? I didn't write it down, did I? I thought I did.
Some games, though, will get a free upgrade, so you don't have to pay at all for the upgrade thing. But a lot of them won't hit that category.
There will be a lot that will cost you $30 to upgrade, and it's like, guys, we need to sit down and have a talk.
Yeah,
because a $30 upgrade is nuts.
For graphics,
even PlayStation wasn't that stupid. Like they said, we'll give you $10 to upgrade your games. That makes sense. That makes so much sense.
I was going to say 10. That's reasonable.
$10, bro.
Yeah.
$10. You look at it at the end of the day. You bought the game full price on PS4. It was $69.99. $10 upgrade makes it $79.99. It is the same price effectively. So, not my argument for, but I'm saying look at it this way. You're still paying $80 for that upgrade. But $30 for the upgrade off the bat anyways is nuts. That is just insane. That's like half of a game now. And you're paying it for an old game, which you've more than likely played before, just for a little bit of quality and performance improvements, as well as like extra functionality for the new gimmicks from the Switch 2. The mouse cons, all that stuff, like, does not seem like a $30 increase price point for me. The physical being $10 more expensive than the digital, again, makes sense. You're putting actual physical work and manufacturing into it. That makes sense why that would be more expensive. It does not make sense for these games to be a fucking $90 game still.
No,
that does not justify almost $100 for a game that I guarantee you will not be more than 20 to 30 hours of gameplay. I can't. I don't like where it's going. I don't want things to get more expensive. Again, I understand why things get more expensive. I'm an adult now. I have the money. I have adult money. What I can use on whatever the fuck I want and be fine. It makes sense.
This ties into the previous podcast where we were talking about our old games better. Yeah, because you paid less for a better game instead of paying more for a crappier game, and I feel like that's going to be a lot of the situation here. That's for another podcast.
It is a debate. That is a debatable topic on whether or not old games are better than new games. There are a lot of factors that go into that, but if you're looking at it from the general output, old games are not as great as new games are. There is a tremendous graphical difference. There is a tremendous customizability in the way you play games. There is much more. The gaming is not as simple as it used to be.
True.
And that I think is where the major argument for that kind of thing comes in. But like you said, another time for another podcast for that. But price point, not cool. The games lineup, however, even though there are a lot of third-party games in there, are phenomenal. Like I mentioned earlier, you get some old Switch games that come back with Switch 2 versions, Metroid Prime 4, Pokemon Legends, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Legend of Zelda, Mario Party, blah, 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 blah. We talked about Dragon Drive. There were some shocking ones in there that I didn't think should have been in there. I don't think they're going to run that well. I have faith that they may, but I'm worried, definitely, because the videos they showed us did not look, obviously, they were probably alpha footage, not anything crazy, but we have massive games that take very high levels of technological advance.
Like From Software games.
You've got, shock and surprise, you've got Elden Ring coming.
Yeah.
Elden Ring is coming to the Switch 2. Street Fighter 6 is coming to the Switch 2. And if we all remember how Mortal Kombat 1 played on the Switch, I don't think that's a great idea. But you know what? Far fucking be it from me to realize what the technological capabilities of a console are when I haven't touched it. We've also got Borderlands 4 launching on the Switch 2. Civilization 7 is getting a Switch 2 version. You've got Hitman World of Assassination, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. EA, FC, and Madden games will be moving to the Switch as well. There's also a cute little game called Star Seeker that looks really fucking cool. Like I mentioned earlier, another one of the games where I'm like, there's no fucking way this runs right on the Switch too. Cyberpunk 2077. I cannot for the life of me. That game couldn't run on a fucking PlayStation 4. If that thing can't run on a PlayStation 4, how the hell do you think it's going to run on a Switch 2?
It's going to fail.
I don't think it's going to be great. I think there's going to be a lot of fidelity loss in that game just to be able to run it on that console. And I think even with it in docked mode, it's still not going to reach the capabilities of other consoles you could play the game on.
Yeah, I agree.
Hitman, yeah, sure. It's not that much of a graphically intense game. It probably worked. There's just a lot of moving pieces in a Hitman game. That's a lot of processing power.
Oh, yeah. All the NPCs are constantly moving, like a GTA game.
I wonder how that might work on the Switch 2, given they're in collected, areas of the maps, and they have set patterns and programs, but it's still processing power that's being pulled up.
It's very dense with the NPCs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just Elden Ring, and not just Elden Ring from Software. We are also getting a brand new IP, which looks to be very similar in the vein of Night Rain, called The Duskbloods, a multiplayer From Software title, which looks to be based in the Bloodborne world. No absolute on that. It is a brand new IP created specifically for the Switch 2. So this game will not be able to be played anywhere but the Switch 2. Effectively meaning if you want to play the brand new From Software game, you're going to have to drop $600. Come fight me in the comments. I'm probably on your side. I don't know. I'm just giving you the information, man. I don't know what the fuck you guys want from me. You've got some things from the last update. The last direct were showcased in a short preview at the end of it. Shadow Labyrinth, the Metroidvania Pac-Man game. Star Wars Outlaws will be playing, and as we know, Star Wars Outlaws did not perform well as well.
This shit was
I wonder
ass.
how bad it's going to perform on the Switch too.
Gonna look like crap.
Wild Hearts is getting a new version called Wild Hearts S. I have no information about that. I have not heard anything about that, and I will continue to dig until I find information about that in a much higher capacity. But that is cool. That's Wild Hearts, for those of you who don't know, is EA's attempt at making a Monster Hunter style game, based heavily on Asian lore in terms of your weapons and your characters and historic values in the game. Very cool, very fun game, very unique. Basically Monster Hunter, but with different other things that make the gimmicks more fun and enjoyable to make monster hunting fun. Basically the same game. Marvel Cosmic Invasion, Witchbrook, which looks so cool. I am in love with that game already from just seeing the trailer for it, and I can't wait to touch it. There was a surprise add-in for Hollow Knight Silksong, which
we were
fucking
told that it was blew me away because I know people that have been fucking waiting and lost faith that the sequel was coming out. I didn't play the original. I have it because I bought it and I'm like, oh, this looks fun. I asked Ryan, hey, What do you think of this? Is like, why did you buy that? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you just bought a Dark Souls like game in 2D. I'm like, this was a mistake.
But it's a super fun game.
I know a lot of people have been waiting for the fucking sequel because they've been so quiet on all the details and whatnot. But I'm glad that it's finally getting released years fucking later. So good for them.
I don't believe it still because we've been told before. If anyone would like to recall, I can't recall if it was last year or the year before. It was a Microsoft Direct.
Oh yeah, I think it was 2022.
Was it 2022?
Yeah, and they said it was going to be like exclusive. That year.
Say it was exclusive.
They said it's going to be out.
It was going to release this year.
Yeah, and it didn't fucking happen.
These games will release. Silk Song was one of those games. It has been way more than a year. Until the devs themselves step back out of the dark shadows from which they have confined themselves and tell us specifically that this game is releasing this year from their mouths, I'm not going to believe Silk Song's real at all because I just can't do that to myself anymore.
I understand.
But Silk Song, super surprised. Everyone that watched it, even myself, lost our minds because it was slipped in so subtly. Just real quick, like 5 seconds of gameplay, just like, Hollow Knight Silk Song 2025, and then on to the next game. No words, nothing, just that.
Like, oh shit!
Everyone lost their fucking minds.
Yeah,
it's like, you can't just do that. You don't just do that. What the fuck?
Well, they did.
But not only that, we also got another surprise drop that I thought was really fucking cool, which is Enter the Gungeon 2.
I need to play the original.
One of my highly rated games that I have played. It is a very fun game, very cool, very unique take on a dungeon crawling roguelike or roguelite. I think it's roguelike.
I forgot the difference.
Don't worry, I did too. I do it all the time. It's fine. It's a roguelike. It's super fun. It is basically a bullet hell roguelike, and it is a great story, very phenomenal, very fun. So Enter the Gungeon 2 is a shadow drop out of nowhere that I had not planned, and it was not on my bingo card for 2025. I'll tell you that much. The other games we had on there was Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. I believe that would run well on the Switch because it was made for the PS4, so I don't think the Switch 2 will have a problem running that. Maybe slight technical and graphical like loss, but I don't think it's going to be so bad that we can't enjoy it still. And just a whole lot of really weird fucking choices for games.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to come out strong by showcasing that all of these difficult to run, highly intensive games are going to be able to run on the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Again, they didn't mention the quality at which they run, so I'm curious of that. But Masahiro Sakurai, those of you who don't know who he is, the director, producer, whatever have you, of the Super Smash Brothers for the Switch, is directing the new Kirby Air Riders game. So I'm actually really excited about that. Kirby Air Rider was a racing Kirby game, very much like what do you call it? Diddy Kong Racing, Mario Kart, something like that. But it was Kirby based. Very cool, very cutesy, very fun. A new one was released at the end, and it's going to be directed by Sakurai. I want to know what he's going to do because I didn't see him coming. This also was not on my bingo card for 2025. Sakurai said he was done with Smash. He didn't say what he was working on. How the fuck do you turn him into the fucking director for Air Riders? Like I am genuinely interested in the actual things that are going to happen in this game because he is so good at his job that I can't believe that this game is going to be bad.
I haven't played many Kirby games. I've only played Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Dream Course, and Kirby and the Crystal Shards. Those are the only ones I played. I'm not really I'm not like a super Kirby fan, but if it's cool, yeah, sure, I'll play it, whatever.
I feel like you've played enough Kirby games to know what a Kirby game is, though.
Yeah.
Like
he sucks things in, he gets their power, he uses it. Bum-ba-dum.
Yep. It's the same thing with a Mario game. You know what to expect. You know what to expect from a Metroid. You know what to expect from a Donkey Kong for the most part. Nintendo games are very cookie cutter when it comes to
they know it works.
To knowing what works. They find ways to make it better and improve upon it, but
like Breath of the Wild.
Yep. But yeah, that's so many games, so little time to figure out why these things are going to work and how. I need to touch it. I need to feel it. I need to believe. I need to see it to believe it, because I cannot believe these things will work that well. But you know, that is a story for another time and another topic for another show.
I agree.
But I don't know. I feel like we've run it a little long today.
We did.
There was a lot. There was a lot. There's a lot this week, guys. I'm sorry. I know it was a big. Yeah. I know it was a hefty episode, but I mean, I hope you enjoyed listening along. I think. Are there any other things you want to bring up before we end the topics? Anything you have to talk about this week?
Yeah. For I can just breeze through these really quick. All of them. Star Wars: Tales of the Underworld came out of fucking nowhere, and I love when I absolutely love when Lucasfilm does that. Mm-hmm. For those of you who don't know, the Tales series is usually a 6-part animated series, and if you don't like it being animated, shut the fuck up, because it has better writing than any of the live action for the most part, because as Filoni has said, it's a lot easier to use animation, because you don't have to bring back, physical actors. You can just use their voices for these, so you don't have to pay as much. Yeah. And you can also reset the scene, because it hasn't been rendered out completely for production, for the end of production and what have you.
Yeah.
But Tales of the Underworld came out of nowhere. It follows the story of Asajj Ventress after the Clone Wars and the book Dark Disciple, which is interesting because she was supposed to have been killed in that book. But she's alive in the season 3 of Star Wars: The Bad Batch, and we see her for one episode, and I'm just like, how the fuck is she alive? And StarWars.com said she'll be back, but in different media, which it could be books, and clearly it's Tales of the Underworld. And the other episode, there's 3 episodes dedicated to her, and there'll be 3 episodes dedicated to the history of Cad Bane and how this Duros blue-faced alien went from a normal guy to becoming one of the most notorious bounty hunters on the level of Jango and Boba Fett the galaxy has ever known, because those are the top 3 bounty hunters that have ever existed in Star Wars. And if you follow Star Wars, Cad Bane taught Boba Fett everything he knows, as much more than his dad, because his dad was killed in Attack of the Clones. But I'm excited for that because it's in the Clone Wars style animation. I can always love that animation style. For the longest, people thought that Dragon Ball Evolution was the worst live action adaptation movie ever created, but Snow White has overtaken it. So Dragon Ball Evolution has a 2.5 rating on IMDb. Snow White has 1.6. It's the worst live action adaptation ever. And they only opened, they had about $350 million budget, and they were projecting, $800 million to break even. Yeah, no, they're not getting anywhere near that. They opened with like $53 million and declining. It's so bad. But that's because the actress fucked up. Both actresses fucked up, and the writing was terrible, which I'm not going to get into what that's about because that's a whole other discussion. But
I don't think that political bullshit means anything to anyone when it comes to films, and people who cry about that can go suck it.
No, because that's tied into the story of Snow White is political bullshit. They made Snow White political. The original story of Snow White was not political at all. But this one, from all the reviews I've said, is very like that, and it's odd. But I'd rather.
But Disney bastardized Snow White in the first.
They did,
place.
But they made it. No one read the original story except for adults. Kids didn't know that. Kids watched the cartoon. We watched the cartoon. Didn't have a lot of talking because it was the first animated one, and it was great. There was nothing political about it. It was, she gets tricked by the evil queen. Prince has to come save her. That's it. This one, whole other fucking different story. Completely different from the original book and the cartoons, to the point where nobody likes it. And it's ridiculous. So, yeah, I'll talk to you about that off stream. And then, there's a new, speaking of more movies, Spider-Man Brand New Day got announced for a release date in 2027. I mixed up the dates, but yeah, July 2027 is when the 4th Tom Holland Spider-Man movie is going to be. Apparently, according to him,
you mixed up those dates. I'm pretty sure those dates were right.
No, Brand New Day is 2027. Beyond the Spider-Verse is June 2026. 2027. Yeah, and what Tom Holland said was the movie is going to be a fresh start for Spider-Man, which makes sense because now he can actually go find his May Jane Watson and not just this other person who has the initials MJ. And he's not going to be in what? He's not going to be in Doomsday because he's going to be focusing on this movie in particular. And I mean, it makes sense because Doomsday. Nobody knows who the fuck Spider-Man Peter Parker is, so he wouldn't be a part of the Avengers.
I think you flipped those dates up, buddy.
What are you talking? That's what I said. I flipped the dates up.
2026 is the release for Brand New Day.
Next year?
Yeah.
No, that's Beyond the Spider-Verse.
July 31st, 2026.
What the fuck? Okay, well, whatever. And then the Spider-Verse
got pushed because of extra other stuff.
Yeah, like the main actor being an idiot, and flirting with the cast and other people. But okay, fine, whatever. I mixed those up. You can check it online to correct me. Blah blah blah.
That's why I just did it for you, so they don't have to. June 4th, 2027 for Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Marvel news, yeah. Doomsday released a lot of nostalgia actors. Like it's basic. What they said is going to be the new Avengers, the Thunderbolts, the original X-Men minus like Storm and Wolverine, obviously. Fantastic
Four.
And Fantastic Four. Those are going to be the main groups that are going to be featured in Doomsday. And also Marvel, speaking of more Marvel, is they said Fantastic Four is just going to be its own universe movie. There's no cameos from other characters. It's just there are no superheroes that exist in this specific movie. It's just the Fantastic Four and whoever the hell the villain is in there. There's no like, oh, hey, there's going to be Spider-Man. There's going to be Iron Man, No, not in, because it's a completely different universe. It's not written into the script to have cameos like that, which is fine because you don't need cameos to carry your damn movie.
They're nice though.
They are nice.
Is nice.
More Marvel, not more Marvel stuff. John Wick 5 got announced. That's going to be a prequel story, just like the anime that's being worked on. That's also going to be a prequel story, so that should be interesting.
And Ballerina. Well,
we already talked about that. There's going to be a spin-off movie about the blind assassin Kane, played by Donnie Yen, who's also directing the movie. So that's going to be fucking cool. Superman sneak peek came out as well yesterday. It's a 5-minute video. There's only like 2 minutes of new footage and the rest is just the rest of the trailer. But from what I can see, it looks more comic booky than serious, which is the Snyderverse vibe, which is good because that's what we want. That's what it is. A comic book story, not fucking super realistic like Snyderverse and edgy and shit. That's for Batman. But you can do it in a way that honors the comic book stuff with Batman, with the Batman, or even Christopher Nolan's Batman. And then today came out the Tron Ares teaser, which looks interesting. It's a standalone sequel to the Tron series. Yeah. It comes after, but it's its own story. It's not necessarily directly connected to the events of what happened in Legacy, because we don't see Sam or the what was the IO program that escaped the computer system with him as well. Well, maybe they'll continue that eventually. Maybe they won't. I have no idea. But I'm excited to see it. 9 Inch Nails is doing the soundtrack, and they're obviously still around, so they're still good at doing, electronic themed music. So I'm excited for that as much as, we want Daft Punk and whatever. Let's see what else. Ubisoft created a subsidiary company to focus on Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six, and Far Cry. This was done by Tencent, and according to my cousin here, since he knows more about that company than I do, these games are going to go to hell, basically, because they're known for making smaller
games themselves, the studios.
They're known for making the subsidiary companies, and then they just fail within a 6-month period for reasons.
Tencent has a very big presence in the gaming industry, and anyone who knows it, Tencent is well known for closing down gaming studios very quickly. They have put a major stake into this subsidiary, so I believe, don't get me wrong, I could be completely wrong, I believe that they're going to try and stick it out, and they're going to try and make something good. But I guarantee if the first 2 games out of that studio, not even the first 2, if the first game out of that studio subsidiary is not good enough and does not bring back the profit they want, Tencent will cut that shit fast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't really care what the fuck happens to Ubisoft IPs and whatnot. Except for Splinter Cell, that's the only one I give a shit about because that's the only one they haven't bothered touching. The only thing they have done with it, because they canceled the fucking live action, which was stupid to even to let it go on for like 20 fucking years in development hell, is the animated series with Liev Schreiber as the voice actor for the Netflix show, which I'm excited for because I know Michael Ironside's too old to do it and he's retired the voice. Liev can do a great job, Liev can do a great job because Sam Fisher requires a gravelly, hardcore voice, and he's just badass whenever he speaks. So I have faith that's going to be well done and not fucking ruined. I haven't seen the other Ubisoft animation, which had like a combination of like Far Cry and Splinter Cell in it, but I thought it was entertaining from the videos I saw online. Other geek news is now we can flip to anime a little bit. There's a new anime trailer that came out called Sentenced to be a Hero, which I've never heard of this kind of premise before. Basically, it's a world where the worst criminals in the world are punished to becoming a hero, and they have to fight the Demon King's army of this world. When they die, they're resurrected to continue fighting. So imagine you commit crimes and you're sentenced to save the world that you were committing crimes in, and you're killed over and over again because that is your punishment. It's like you're going to keep dying until you get this shit right. That fucking sucks, but that's your damn fault for committing the crime in the first place, so you deserve
really
it.
familiar.
Well,
ReZero.
But he didn't commit crimes. He was just he was isekai.
The premise you said.
Yeah, but
keep doing this over and over until you get that shit right.
Yeah, but he's weak, so he's mid. But yeah, that looks like a really cool thing, and thankfully it's not an isekai. It's just a fantasy themed anime, which is great. We don't need any more isekai, or if we do, you have to make it unique, like we've said before. And then the last bit of Dragon Ball news: the Dragon Ball editors have spoken out against abuse with Akira Toriyama, with the director. Not the director. It was, I forgot the role the guy was playing. He was one of the studio heads. Basically, he kept harassing Toriyama to do things that he didn't want to do, similar to how in the end of his days, Stan Lee was abused to go to appearances and continue doing cameos or whatever against his will just because he was old. And Toriyama he couldn't get out of it because he was like contracted to work on Dragon Ball and whatnot. And the other editors are finally coming out saying this wasn't okay, but we couldn't do anything because he's under contract and he has to listen to the bosses. And the work culture over there is very different from it is over here, considering Japan has a high unaliving rate because of how much, because of self-unaliving rate, because they have a lot of bullshit they have to go through. As cool as it sounded when I was younger to be an anime artist or whatever, even though I can't draw that well from my head, I'm good at like copying. It would not have been a good idea because they'll work your fucking ass off until you get it right, and with like no overtime and shit. And the Japanese yen is very fucking low today. So yeah, but that's all I have for all the geek news. I just spit it out as quickly as possible. But yeah,
kind of rushed through it. We might have been able to save some of that stuff for next week.
I wanted to get through it because it's news, and it's okay to have one long episode once in a while. That's okay. We could continue on that eventually in the next one. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, I guess that's all we have for today, ladies and onions.
Ladies and onions.
You have anything else to say, Johnny boy?
No, I think we've basically covered everything that we should cover today. I would just like to say thank you guys for sticking around. Thanks for supporting us and subscribing and commenting on our stuff. Thank you so much. We enjoy the interaction and we appreciate you guys taking your time to spend time with us and listen to us rant and ramble about stuff. If you want to hear us rant and ramble about more stuff, where you can go to patreon.com, where you can pay for a subscription to our stuff for $1 a month. And with that $1, you get instant access to the audio of the podcast as soon as we record, or basically as soon as we record it. You also get access to the any pre and post stuff that we record. You get access to What else do we get access to?
You get
brain fart.
Well, yeah, you get access to any of the pre-show stuff. Like I said, you get access to the audio that is currently being recorded. The day it comes out, you can also chat with us there. We'd be willing, we get emails saying if someone posts something or whatever. Yeah. Eventually, we'll add more stuff like access to streams and what have you, or the Discord. But for now, that's all we have is just a bunch of early access stuff. It's only cost $1 too. It's
that dollar can go to getting Sniffles a better camera or a green screen.
I don't need I have a green screen, but I don't want to pay for Discord Nitro to fucking use it. It's $10 a month. What are you, crazy? For something I do like 4 times a month? I don't think so.
Could just record in OBS.
No, I am recording in OBS, but
you just send your camera through to OBS.
No, it's easier to do Discord this way because I can just edit it later in Premiere. But anyway,
you can follow us on social medias on twitch.tv/forthegeeksgames with 2 S's, on YouTube For the Geeks Podcast. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Yo-Yo Ninja Boy. It'll be in the description down there. You can also follow me on Instagram if you want at Yo-Yo Desu, DESUU, 2 U's at the end. Sniffles, where can they find you?
They can find me alive. No, they can find me on Instagravy under Seger VFX for my personal one. Where if I know you, I'm going to mute and hide the story from you because I don't need you to listen to me ranting. But if I don't know you, you can hear me ranting. You can look at my art. If you want to go to my gaming content, it is at Seger Plays on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram, and YouTube as well. But yeah, that's basically all my social media sites.
Cool. But, yeah. Well, thanks guys for spending time with us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Hope you guys have a good one. And as always, game like you mean it.
Booby lips.